this is Travis here with Fish Hex. I appreciate you stopping in. In today's video, we're going to go over 15 things that every saltwater hobbyist should know. Now, if you've been in the hobby for an extended period of time, there's a good chance you know most of this just by trial and error. But stick around, there might be something that you haven't thought about in a while, and maybe I can help you out. Either way, I'm going to go through these 15 things briefly. If there's something that you want to know more about, there's a good chance that I've already covered this topic in my beginner guide playlist, so you can check that out. If not, you can put your questions in the comment section below, and I will answer them for you, or I will make an additional video to answer those questions. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, number one. You're going to want to go ahead and purchase an RODI unit. This stands for reverse osmosis deionization water purifier. Basically what this does is it takes your tap water and gets it down to 0 TDS with the DI resin. Now, why is this important? Well, a lot of people who are new to the hobby are going to struggle with algae, not only because of using maybe water that is not as clean as it should be, but people tend to overfeed and they're just learning their maintenance habits and they're trying to get a grasp on the hobby. And having pure water, or as pure as you can possibly get, really helps you set you up for success and having that stable foundation. The last thing you want to do is start off with 300 TDS on a new reef tank and try to battle the algae that you're going to deal with. It's very discouraging, and a lot of people walk away from the hobby because they don't build a solid foundation. So if you don't have an RODI unit, I highly recommend you get one. I know you can get them on eBay or bulkreefsupply.com. They're relatively cheap. Just make sure you get the DI resin, and then be consistent depending on how high your TDS is at your house to change those filters out to prolong the life of your RO membrane. Okay, number two, always keep extra water on hand, either be salt water or fresh water. If you have to pick one of the two, it might be best to keep just fresh water, and then if you have to, make it into salt water at the last moment. But it's always good to have extra water because you never know when you're going to need it. Either you forgot to fill off your auto top off and you can't wait 12 hours for it to fill up, or you have something that spills into the tank like a ton of food or a chemical and you need to do a water change on the system. You want to have that water ready to go. All right, number three. Coral are living animals. Now you might be asking yourself, why am I bringing this up? Now some of you might get butthurt over this, and frankly, I don't care. Coral are living animals. You need to respect them and you need to provide the stable living environment that they require to be healthy. Now a lot of people think they can start the hobby and then have coral the next week and everything's going to be okay. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Now some people have been lucky and got away with like green star polyps and those easy corals that really tolerate bad water quality. And then, then they think they can move up to LPS and SPS, and unfortunately, they see that coral die very quickly. And I just want to let you know that you need to take the time to learn the basics, build a stable foundation, and then work your way up to coral. It's not going away. There's so much in this hobby, you can literally get it whenever you are ready for it. All right, number four, let's go ahead and talk about the other living animal in the tank, and that is the fish. All fish should be quarantined for no less than 4 weeks. Now, what do I mean by that is you're going to want to set up a separate tank. You're going to want to put a sponge filter or a hang in the back filter with a heater, and you're going to want to put the fish in there and observe that fish for no less than 4 weeks. Treat for parasites as needed, or you can do preventive treatment. I have both those types of videos on my channel, but it needs to happen. If you've ever been on the forums and you looked up the word ick, you'll get countless questions going, I went to the local fish store, now I have these white spots all over my fish. What is it? And then somebody tells them it's ick. And then the next person underneath there goes, well, did you quarantine your fish? And the answer is no. And if you've ever had ick in your main display, you will regret not quarantining your fish immediately. So always quarantine. All right, number five, along the same lines, if you end up getting ick in your main display, do not treat it with chemicals. The best thing you can do is go ahead and remove those fish, put them in a quarantine system and treat them appropriately, and then let the tank run without fish for up to 8 to 10 weeks. This way the ick parasite will go through its life cycle and it will eventually die off. That is the best thing you can do. It will save your tank and it will save you some money in the long run. And it kind of gives you time to reflect on why you should have quarantined in the first place. Number six, fish look hungry all the time. Period. I mean, if you go weeks without feeding them, yes, they're probably starving to death. But most of us in the hobby have the opposite problem where we overfeed our fish. And then that starts up other issues with algae, water quality. It just becomes bad. And it's not good for the fish in the long run. So the best thing you can do is get a feeding schedule with an amount that you decide to feed every day or every other day, and then stick to that. And regardless of how much you think they're begging for food, just avoid that temptation. Number seven, a cleanup crew just masks the issue. Now this is not only important in the beginning of starting a tank, but long term. In the beginning, yes, you do get a little bit of algae depending on your source of rock. Now if you get live rock from the ocean, there will be some die-off, which you will have those excess nutrients temporarily where you will get some algae. But if you start off with dry rock that is, has no die-off on it and you're using RODI water, you should not be getting any kind of algae bloom. Now, long-term wise, if you are, 6, 10 months in your tank and you're still fighting algae and you're just replacing your cleanup crew consistently, thinking that is, what needs to happen to take care of that issue, you are sadly mistaken. You need to figure out the source, and I mentioned this in my preventing nuisance algae videos. You need to find the source via the water, the rock, your overfeeding, your maintenance habits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Using a cleanup crew to essentially, quote unquote, solve the issue is just not going to be good for you in the long term. Number 8, have a backup plan for power outages. Now, I just recently put a video up a couple months ago on me going through a 23-hour power outage, and that sucked. And if I didn't have a generator, I wouldn't have a reef tank. It's that simple. You need to plan for that stuff, especially if you've dropped, $5,000, $10,000 in your reef tank. Go ahead and spend the $500 on a generator. It will be worth it when the time comes. I know the initial investment's like, wow, I'm going to go spend the money on this. It's going to sit in my garage for, how many months? Who knows when I'm ever going to use it? But when the power does go out and you don't have it and you're scrambling and you're watching everything die slowly, it's heartbreaking, and trust me, you will wish that you did. Number 9, you do not need to add a canister filter to a reef tank. There are countless reasons why you do not need to use them. Now, the main one here is your beneficial bacteria and all the processing of waste will be done with the rock that's in your reef tank. Now, if you have like the ornaments from that show tanked, yes, they have an external filter, which is like a trickle filter where the beneficial bacteria grows on media. That's an exception. But if you have live rock or dry rock that will eventually turn into live rock, you do not need to have an external source of filtration. A lot of people use the terminology nitrate factories, and it's a very good reason. Basically, yes, the canister filter will remove detritus and stuff from the water, but it also traps the detritus where it has a chance to break down, then releases nutrients back into the water column, just furthering the issue. Number 10, this is a big one. Always build your rock structures on the glass before you add the sand. Now, it's pretty common that people put the sand in and then they kind of put the rock on there and adjust it. It's okay to a certain extent, but if you do plan on getting sand sifting critters and eels and stuff like that, they move the rock around and they move sand around and that kind of stuff, and it makes the structure unstable. So I always recommend that you build the rock structure on the glass. I even suggest you epoxy everything together just to make it that much stronger, and then there's a less likelihood that the rock will fall and smash your tank. Number 11, pointing your power head or your return line to the water surface allows for better gas exchange. Now, why is this important? Well, it releases CO2, it adds oxygen to the water, it breaks up any kind of film that might be on the surface. It's good for the pH, it's good for the fish, it's good for the coral, and it's cool to have little waves within a reef tank as well, and there's definitely nothing negative about it. So I suggest if you don't have any kind of surface agitation, point a power head up there, and that's at least a good start. Number 12, filter socks are a great way to remove detritus and polish the water column. Now, just like the canister filter, they will become nitrate factories if you don't keep on top of them. What I mean by that is you need to replace them often, like every other day, every day if you can. And this way, it removes the detritus before it has a chance to break down, releasing nitrates and phosphates back into the water column, causing further issues. All right, number 13, the best purchase I ever made in this hobby was my Apex controller. Without a doubt, I could not live without it. It just makes life so much easier. I can control all my equipment. I have the alarms. If something goes wrong, I can control from anywhere in the world. I know what's going on when I'm out of town. I mean, you really can't ask for anything better than that. And it seems like the options are endless when it comes to this controller. So if you haven't gotten one or you're afraid of the investment, it's kind of like the generator. It's the initial investment sucks, but it is worth it in the long run. Trust me. Okay, number 14, mixing your salt before you use it. Now, a lot of people don't do this, and they don't really think about it, but over time, calcium, alkalinity, magnesium will separate itself within the salt bucket. Just kind of happens over time. Basically, what you can do is just go ahead and put the cover on there, mix it a few times on the floor, kind of gets everything stirred up inside the bucket, and then that way when you scoop, you're not pulling out, tons of magnesium or tons of calcium or tons of alkalinity because it's separated itself. It kind of allows for more consistent batches of water from that salt mix. All right, guys, number 15, and this is something that I struggled with for a while, and that was being patient. Nothing good is going to happen in this hobby overnight, and once you realize that, you will be more successful, trust me. What I mean by that is when you make changes such as like adding a bile pellet reactor, increasing your 2-part dosing, things like that need to be done slowly, and then they need to be monitored in the water column to see the effect that they have. Now, one of the biggest killers in SPS coral is fluctuations in temperature and alkalinity. So when you make adjustments to your reef tank, you should do it slowly. Wait for it to take effect, and that way you can make better adjustments down the road. Now, patience kind of is every different aspect of this hobby when it comes to adding fish, quarantine time, dealing with ick, parasites, all sorts of stuff like that. It pretty much is the basis of this whole hobby. And I highly recommend that you learn to get the patience because we all have our own way of learning. Some people can just be like, oh well, this is the right thing to do. I'm going to do it now. And some people need to get kicked in the balls a couple times before they realize that, oh man, I should have did this the right way. Just like a lot of people, the whole thing with ick. What do I do now that I have ick? I didn't quarantine. Well, this is your kick in the nuts. And how many more times does it need to happen to you before you realize that you should quarantine first? Then that's what I mean by patience. So either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more. And if you have any questions, put it in the comment section below. And of course, guys, I will see you next time. Peace.